Continuing in the unit number 5, today we are starting with the exception handling concept. It is a part of unit number 5. So in today's session, we are going to learn about the exception handling, how to throw an exception, how to catch an exception, why exception handling we require. That is, we are going to learn about the advantages of exception handling. Then C++ example without try and catch, followed by try and catch block, code demonstration, and at the end, if time permits, we will have a question answer session. So let's begin with the exception handling. An exception is a problem that arises during the execution of the program. What is an exception? Exception is a problem that arises during the execution of the program. Keep in mind. What is this? What does it mean? Execution of the program. When your program is in execution, that is in running mode, at that time there could be problem. That problem is called as a abnormal condition. If that abnormal condition occurs, it is called as exception. It is called as an exception. A C++ exception is a response to an exceptional circumstances that arises while the program is running. Such an attempt to divide by 0. For example, your program is in execution and your logic come across divide by 0, then this could be a exception. Exceptions are runtime anomalies. Exceptions are runtime anomalies, or it is also called as abnormal condition that a program encounters during its execution. Keep in mind, exceptions are runtime anomalies or abnormal conditions that arises when your program is in execution. Exception handling in C++ is a process to handle runtime errors. We perform exception handling so the normal flow of the application can be maintained even after runtime errors. Why we need to handle the exception handling? To maintain the normal flow of the application. If suppose you are developed one application and in between runtime anomalies or abnormal condition, your application should not be terminated. You need to handle that particular exception, and your application should execute the remaining part. That is called as normal flow of the application. C++ exception handling is built upon 3 keywords. First one is try, next one is catch, and third one is throw. Let's understand each keyword. What is this try? Try represents a block of code that can throw an exception. The try block will consist of code that could have an exception, and this will throw the exception. A try block identifies a block of code for which particular exception will be activated. It's followed by one or more catch blocks. It's followed by one or more catch blocks. Next is catch. It represents a block of code that is executed when a particular exception is thrown. It is represent a block of code that is executed when a particular exception is thrown. A program catches an exception with an exception handler at the place in a program where you want to handle the program. The catch keyword indicates the catching of an exception. So if exception occur, it will be thrown from catch try block to catch block, and catch block will handle that particular exception. Next is throw keyword. It is used to throw an exception, as the keyword indicates. It will throw an exception. Also need to list the exceptions that a function throws, but doesn't handle itself. It will throw the exception. The handling of the exception is carried out by the catch block. So again, I am repeating, these are the three keywords in C++ which is responsible to handle the exception. First one is try. Next one is catch, and third one is throw. Why this try will do? The try block will have a code wherein exception could occur. If exception occur, that the exception will be thrown to the catch block, and the catch block is responsible to handle that particular exception. And throw keyword is used to throw an exception. A program throws an exception when a program shows up. A particular exception should be thrown by throw keyword. Assuming a block will arise an exception. A method catches an exception using a combination of try and catch keywords. Assume that there will be a block which will throw an exception, or which will have an exception in that code. A try catch block is placed around the code that might generate an exception. Code within the try and catch block is referred to as protected code. And the syntax for using the try catch is as follows. So this is the way to use the try catch block. Let's see. You have to mention the try keyword, then open the curly bracket, and inside this try block you need to put the code, and that code is called as protected code. That code is called as protected code. And close the curly bracket, and after the closing curly bracket you have to mention the catch block. This is the exception name and this is the object of the exception. And inside this you can write the exception handling code that is called as catch block. You can have multiple catch blocks followed by a try block. This is the catchback which will have another exception which will handle another exception. Catch exception name E2. This was catch block. Another exception catch exception name number, and inside it you can mention the catch block. So this is the way to write the code for try and block. Just a minute. Okay. So continuing with this, you can list down multiple catch statement to catch different types of exception in case your try block raises more than one exception in different situations. There will be a situation wherein your try block may arise different exceptions. In that case, you need to have different catch blocks. So this is the way to handle the different catch blocks. Next is throwing the exceptions. Exceptions can be thrown anywhere within a code block using throw statement. Exceptions can be thrown anywhere within a code block using throw statement. The period of the operand of throw statement determines a type of exception and can be any expression, and the type of result of the expression determines the type of exception thrown. Following an example of throwing an exception when dividing by zero condition occurs. So this is the way to write the throw statement. Just let's see. So this is the double division. This is the function which will receive two parameters a and b. And if b is equal to 0, you have to mention throw. And this is the way to make use of the throw keyword. Throw in double quote, you have to mention the message division by 0 condition, closing curly bracket. So this is the way to use the throw keyword. Next is catching the exception. The catch block following the try block catches any exception. You can specify what type of exceptions you want to catch, and this is determined by the exception declaration that appears in parentheses following the keyword catch. So let's see, this is your try block and this is your catch block. Catch block is followed by try block. And this is the code. In the catch block, you have to mention the code to handle the exception name and exception. Above code will catch an exception of exception name type. If you want to specify that catch block should handle any type of exception that is thrown in try block, you must put an ellipse between the parentheses enclosing the exception declaration. So this is the way to do this. Just you have to mention the ellipses 3 dots. This will handle all type of exceptions. Just mention this after the try block, and here it is the code to handle any exception. We will understand it better when we have a code demonstration. So why exception handling? Following are the main advantages of exception handling over traditional error handling. First one is separation of error handling code from normal code. So instead of, or it will distinguish between the normal code exceptions. In traditional error handling codes, there are always if-else condition to handle errors. These conditions and the code to handle errors get mixed up with normal flow. This makes the code less readable and maintainable. With the try catch block, the code for error handling becomes separate from the normal flow. So with the help of this approach, you will handle the runtime errors in systematic way, and you can easily maintain the code as well. Your code is readable. Next, Advantage is function methods can handle any exception they choose. These functions can handle any exception. A function can throw many exceptions, but may choose to handle some of them. The other exceptions which are thrown but not caught can be handled by caller. If the caller chooses not to catch them, then the exceptions are handled by caller of the caller. In C++, a function can specify the exceptions that it throws using the throw keyword. The caller of this function must handle the exception in some way, either by specifying it again or catching it. And next advantage of this is grouping of error types. In C++, both basic types and objects can be thrown as exception. We can create hierarchy of exceptions, objects, group exceptions in namespace or classes, and categorize them according to types. So let's understand this first. The problem without try and catch block. Suppose this is the code. Hash include IO stream using the namespace std, and this is the method division, which will receive 2 parameters, and it will do the division on the in the main integer I is equal to 50, j and k is equal to 0, 0. And if division I comma j, you are passing 50 in I and 0 in j, which is received over here, and here it is 50 divided by 0 will happen, which is nothing but the divided by 0. So once you have the code like this, at this point there will be a runtime exception. This program will be compiled properly. This program will be executed, but when it come across this statement, it will terminate. It will stop executing. And this is not the way to execute a particular program. This statement will stop your normal flow of the program. And such kind of things should not happen when your program is executed. Application is nothing but the combination of the programs, and if suppose your program is terminated like at this point, there will be problem for your application. Your application's normal flow is not maintained, and to maintain it, you need to have exception handling. So what will be the output of this code? The output of the code is floating point exception. This message will be displayed on the terminal. So let's see the code demonstration. Code is visible? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just now whatever code present in the PPT, same program is present in code blocks. So you need to include this IO stream. This is our namespace std. This is our division method, which will receive x and y. And in the main, we have 3 variables I, j, k. I is initialized to 50, and j and k is initialized to 0. And to display something on the terminal, I have just mentioned this statement, hello. Now it will k is equal to division I comma j, and it will print the content of k written from the division function. So let's see. I will send first 50 and 1 to the method and just see what will be the output of the code. So output of the code is hello 50. Suppose I'm going to send the message, send the variables 50 and 2. Let's see what will be the output. The output could be 25. Now I'm going to send the value 0, and there will be, here it is now, there will be divided by 0 exception, which is not handled in this code. Now let's see. It will print hello, and in the code block it will just stuck for a few minutes. It will not execute your program. This will show you stop working this project, and this will be output of the program. It will not print any return value from here because there were divided by 0 error. So I will show this code on the online editor. Sorry. So go to Google and see online CPP compiler. You will get this compiler. And same code I'm going to copy over here. Okay, same code is present. Just I may open this because I want to show you the error message or exception message. I'm going to execute the code. So this will show you the floating point exception code dumped. Floating point exception, and your program is terminated over here. And this is not the way the program behaves. Even though there will be a problem in your program, it should not terminate your program. The remaining part should execute. And due to this need, we will have the exception handling. We will show the step-by-step execution of the exception. Here it is. These are the two statements, include IOStream and std, and in the main, integer x is equal to -1 and cout I have just printed before the try block, and then I have started the try block. This is our try block. In the try, I have mentioned one statement over here inside try. And then it is just for throwing the exception. If x is less than 0, it will throw the x. And this after throw, the statements are not executed. Whatever statements are present over here will not execute. That's why I mentioned over here, after throw never executed. This statement will not execute if throw is executed. And after the try block, you have to mention the catch block. This is your catch block. Catch integer x. Here it is where x is type of integer and throw is throwing the integer x. That's why I mentioned over here integer x. And here it is, I have just mentioned one statement, exception caught. Exception caught. You can mention any type of message over here. By reading that message, users should understand what will happen with your code. And at the end, I have just mentioned after catch will be executed. Whatever code after the catch will be executed. So this will show a step-by-step execution of the try catch block. And let's see, is there any error? There will not be any error. I'm going to execute it, and this is the output of the code. This is the output of the code. Before try, inside try, exception caught, and after catch will be executed. After catch will be executed. Now I'm going to make the slight changes in the code, and let's see what will happen. Instead of here it is x is equal to -1, I'm going to initialize only 1. So say out before try will be executed. Control goes to try block. In the try block, it will print inside try, and in the if block, it will check x is less than 0. No, so it will not throw the exception. It will not throw this x. So this catch will not execute. This catch will not execute. Keep in mind, this catch will be executed only when you throw an exception to the catch. Now in this case, there will not be any thrown exception. And at the end, the after catch will be executed statement. Now let's see the output of the code. What it will print? It will print before try, inside try, and after catch will be executed. So this is the way your program is executed. If the exception is not occurred, then your program is executed properly, and if your program will have exception or abnormal condition in your program, then also your program is executed properly. And this is the way, this is to handle or to maintain the normal flow of the program, exception handling is used. So just whatever code I have shown, just use this code and do the stuff with the try, catch, and throw keywords. Then you will understand how to handle the exception.